Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara and today I am going to be doing a review of Butter by Asako Yuzuki. This is a Japanese translated fiction book. It's a bestseller in Japan and I was very kindly gifted this book to me by my brother. And I was so excited to read this book because, as you all know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I love translated fiction, but particularly Japanese translated fiction. I really just like how Japanese authors talk about the human condition. I think it really personally resonates with my own kind of thoughts on the human condition and how societies are built and lots of different things that we don't need to go into right this moment. But the point is that I really like their approach to writing about like human nature. So I was really excited to read this book because I'd heard really great things about it in that regard. But I'd also heard there was a lot of really great food references. And I don't know if I've talked about this much on my channel, but I love cooking. I love food. I think it's universal. It's just one of those things that really brings people together. And every country, everywhere in the entire world has its kind of unique take on food. And I really love that. So it kind of marries up a bunch of my personal interests. And I was a little bit nervous for that reason because I was like, is it really going to be able to do justice to all those things? But before I tell you whether it did, let's give you a quick summary of the plot. So this book, Butter, was inspired by a real-life Japanese murder case, but it very quickly evolves into something much richer and more surprising than just being like a typical true crime drama. At its core, the story is about our main character, Rika, who is a journalist based out of Tokyo, and she is investigating the woman who is accused of seducing and killing wealthy men, and her name is Manako Kaji. That's all apparently through her extraordinary cooking abilities. But the deeper Rika delves into Kaji's life, the less the case becomes about guilt or innocence. Kaji, is an example, refuses to talk about the murders, but she's very open and eloquent about food and the importance of food and femininity and appetite, pleasure and power. What starts off as an investigative piece becomes a very slow unraveling of Rika's assumptions, of societal expectations, and of the many ways women are policed for wanting more. It is just absolutely phenomenal, this book. But I will caveat that with, I don't think a lot of people are going to like this book, particularly if you're somebody who's not kind of that familiar with kind of Japanese culture. Because I've read quite a lot of books now, I think I have a pretty good sense of kind of what the culture really stands for and how it's represented. And one of the things that I did notice when I was looking at reviews for this book after I finished reading it is naturally a lot of people are looking at it through a Western lens and they rate it really poorly because they're looking at it through a Western lens. But I think this book is just absolutely phenomenal. I think this book was very uniquely for me. Like, I feel like this book was written for me. It's astonishing, isn't it, when you get that feeling? It doesn't happen often, but like I really think this book was for Zara, like genuinely. I love I talked about myself in the third person. But it was just amazing. It's a big book as well. And yeah, I didn't want it to finish. I was reading it slowly on purpose. But then like the last half was just so addictive and it went by so fast. So anyway, I'm just raving about it now. Let's talk about what I liked. So the writing is excellent. Obviously, this is a translation, but the translation is excellent, I should say. It's very subtle, but it's incredibly rich. Yuzuki has an absolutely incredible gift at kind of giving texture to the world, especially when she's describing food. It honestly made me hungry multiple times reading this book. The meals are described so vividly and sensually that they almost feel sacred. Again, if you are somebody who loves food, whether it's eating it, cooking it, whatever, this is like, it's just beautiful. It feels so rich. It's even more impressive how she weaves that sensuality into a sharp and smart meditation on culture and identity. Like, it's really phenomenal. She made me really think about food and how food really impacts us on an individual level in a way that I've never really thought about it before, to be honest. And I think that's quite astonishing. The tone is super introspective, but it's elegant and it's restrained, but it's also very emotionally powerful in a very quiet way. There's absolutely zero sensationalism. This is a very tempered book. I think the author respects her characters too much for that. and every sentence feels considered, like a perfect kind of picture, and it's a book to be savoured. And that's what I really I was kind of referencing when I said I wanted to read this book really slowly, because it really is a book to be appreciated slowly, much like the dishes that Kaji talks about. The pacing is very slow. It is a slow burn, but it never dragged for me. I loved the first half of the book because it's slow. Like you're literally following these characters and getting a good sense of who these people are, where they've been, where they're going, and it is phenomenal. It's less about what happens and more about what's unfolding in the now. And I think the investigative arc really draws you in, but the real satisfaction comes from the evolution of the narrator and the careful layering of insight, character, and emotional complexity. I think if you're willing to take it at its pace, it rewards you with something far deeper than a typical crime novel. And this to me didn't even feel like a crime novel. I don't read a ton of crime novels because it's just not really my thing personally, which is weird because I love crime and movies and TV shows. But for some reason in books, it just generally doesn't really work for me. But the crime aspect of it is like one very small part. And I think it just adds an extra layer of tension that really pays off by the end of the book. Now let's talk a little bit about characters. I honestly think Kaji is one of the most compelling characters that I've encountered in recent fiction. Like, she's super enigmatic, but she's not cold. She's intelligent, but not performatively so. She's endlessly challenging, not just to Rika, one of our other main characters, but to the reader, but also to the society that is presented in this world. Her refusal to conform, to explain herself neatly, or to perform repentance is a part of what makes her so interesting. Such a great villain, because she is presented as the villain of the book, but really by the end of it, you are questioning whether she really is the villain. And I think that's one of my many favorite things that Asako Yuzuki did in this book. Very much a morally grey character, and I think she was written absolutely exquisitely. Rika, meanwhile, very quiet character. She goes through a very quiet transformation through her interactions with Kaji and her reflections on her own life, body, desires, and her role as a woman in Japanese society. She becomes much more layered and self-aware, and I think she also begins to realise what she actually wants from her life, which is always a beautiful realization for anyone to have, especially a woman who has been repressed and oppressed by society. The contrast between these two women is just handled so well. They contrast so well, so subtle though, and it's just beautiful to see that how these two characters evolve over the course of the book. Let's talk now about themes. Themes. This is the sort of book where it just talks a little bit about everything. So obviously with the book being about food, there's a lot of discussion around like appetite and indulgence, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. Japanese culture, particularly as it relates to women, just like Western culture, really kind of places a negative onus on women about, you know, how they eat food, how they consume food, what they should look like. All these things are tied together, right? And I think it's presented really starkly in this book and kind of forces us to look at the world around us in a way that maybe makes us all feel a bit uncomfortable. There's a lot of discussion around the politics of female desire and how women are judged for wanting too much, eating too much, being too much, whatever it may be, right? And I think both of these characters by the end of it just really kind of own that, and I really loved reading that as a woman myself, so I just loved it. Great discussion around like performance, social performance, especially around like femininity, beauty and careerism, about, you know, doing what society tells you in a way that is okay and permissible by society's norms. And then it also touches on how food is very closely tied to our identity, is tied to resistance and connection as well. And this is probably one of my favourite explorations of this book. It's something that I've not really thought much about, but I look at kind of marginalised communities in the world and how food can be such a critical part of where someone is from and who they are, and I think it's so beautiful, to be honest. Like it's food is such an incredible resource to kind of communicate who we are, and I think Yuzuki explores that beautifully in this book. I think she explores these themes without it ever kind of becoming didactic. She embodies them in her characters and in the rhythm of the novel. I honestly think it's really rare to find a book that's this intellectually satisfying while also being deeply sensory and emotional at the same time. And I think that's why I love this book so much. Like, I cannot tell you guys enough how much I love this book. Like, I finished the book and I sat on my sofa for about an hour afterwards because I just felt so satisfied. Like, if you know when it feels like you've eaten a really good meal, that's how I felt. And I still keep thinking about this book because it's so good. So good. But I don't think it's going to be for everyone for some of the reasons that I've already said in this video. But it was just phenomenal. It's a 5 stars. It's one of my favourite reads this year, but also has the potential to become my favourite of all time. I just loved it. I loved it. It's a quiet triumph. It's one of those novels that sneaks up on you, fills your senses, and leaves you thinking about it long after you finish reading it. I think it completely defies genre expectations in the best way possible. It's not just a murder story. It's not just a story about a journalist tracing the truth. It's not a story about women trying to find themselves. It's a story about what it means to be a woman in a world that measures your worth by your restraint. But it's also about how food can be representative of struggle. It's also about relationships and family dynamics and just so many other things like that I didn't even get time to touch on. Like, it's just such a multi-layered book that really just talks about what it means to be a woman, but also what it means to be a human in a world that is often putting its own stupid expectations on you, and you know how people have to live with that as well. It's very introspective. It's very original, in my opinion. I think it's a rare kind of novel, one that kind of satisfies your brain, your mind, your heart, and like all your senses at the same time. Like, it's just absolutely beautiful. So there we have it. Let me know down below if anyone's read it. I've not met anybody who's read this book, so if you have, please do let me know, because I would love to talk about it with you. If you loved it, if you hated it, I don't care. I just want to talk about it with someone. So please let me know down in the comments if you have read it, and let's have a chat. If you have any questions, like if you're not sure if you're going to like it or you're on the fence, let me know, and I'll do my best to kind of help you figure out whether it's going to be the right book for you. But I think a lot of you who watch my channel would actually really like this book. So please do, at the very least, consider it. So that's it. Thanks for watching, folks. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Really helps. And also consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.